as you try to achieve a big goal in your life, as you try to achieve big change, you've got to look very ruthlessly and critically at all of these, how everything in the world will gladly use your minutes and your resources and your time and your knowledge. And we all feel like altruism and helping and delivering is good. It is not always good, because you know what? You might be robbing the world and history of the one thing that you could deliver that is truly bespoke, that is truly from your secret sauce, that only you could deliver, that is the stamp that you want to leave, and that you would gladly die tomorrow if you could just leave that one stamp. So that is part of KindEdge, which is the first couple steps that we go through, is getting so clear on what you really want to leave here on earth before you die, that you understand that you must unchoose all these other things that you are good at, that you could do. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so this is true also of the way you design your days and the way you use the minutes in your days. It's about people. So you may have to do a vast unchoosing of people who need your time, want your time, use your time, seek your attention. Sometimes just because you can doesn't mean you should. If you have any sort of big goal in your life, you could be hijacking your own goals and ambitions by continuing to do the things that you are good at without ruthlessly filtering out first. So, here on KindEdge.com, we're working to unlock the alternate ending to your life. And what stands between you and your dreams, your big goals, the change you want to see in your life, the new degree you want to get, the career change you want to make, the internal change you want to make. There are simple bite-sized steps that I'm working to publish online so that you can bite off a little bite and make progress every day without having to leap across a dark abyss, like quit your job before knowing what the future holds, or make a big change without testing it in small bits first. So you can achieve these changes by getting action in motion today. But along with all of these steps that I'm publishing, there is a core foundation that is critical to making the whole process work. And I work on the steps in KindEdge, and the first piece of all of this is what I call KindEdge 360, which is the foundation. And so when you set a goal and then you look over the last year and say, why didn't that big change happen? Why didn't I achieve that goal? Other people achieve it, or I thought it was doable. And it's because that foundation may not have been set with a deep root. And one of the pieces is recognizing that we only have so many minutes here on Earth. Working through the KindEdge 360 is critical to making any big change possible, whether you're trying to get a divorce, whether you're trying to change your career, whether you're trying to achieve some sort of sports goal, start a business, start a charity, whatever that thing is that seems like it's too hard to get into your life that's already in motion. So just because you can doesn't mean you should aligns with the concept that we have only so many minutes left on Earth. And the world knows that you have capabilities, that you have aptitudes, that you have skills, and it will tap into you if you let it. If you are good at bringing people together, your community organization is going to lean on you and lean harder and harder each day and week. If you help people, if you solve problems, you are so good at this. You can see the solution. You can see you're useful. You can see how to get something to the end. And if you give your minutes and your energy to all of the things, then all of the things will consume you. And a big part of achieving your goal is starting to have that really keen judgment and filtering out. I call it the big unchoosing, the vast unchoosing. You have to get really serious about how much you could do for everything and everyone and all the organizations on earth, and how much you ought to not do, because by choosing those things, you are unchoosing you, your secret sauce, and the stamp you want to leave here on earth. So the concept of just because you can doesn't mean you should. I'll give an illustration of one of my aptitudes. One of the core things that I did as I built this KindEdge 360 foundation is I went deep into all of the personality profile tools that, some of you may have experienced it, like in high school where you were being tested for your aptitudes for a career, and in work you get tested. There's many methodologies for testing whether you are, how you work within teams, where you fit, what your strengths are. And so Myers-Briggs has evolved very far from Jungian to the Myers-Briggs interpretation. It's gone very far, and there's actually the Powers, there's a team, Dave and Shannon Powers, who have actually evolved it into 256 profiles, seeing it very much in practical terms. And so it's very, very distinct in terms of getting to know yourself. And I get to know myself so that I know not just my superpowers, but I know my weaknesses. And you start to know where you fall into, what is your most natural state, and where you need to grow new skills, and what's going to be good for you, but maybe uncomfortable for a long time. Kind of like trying to brush your teeth with the wrong side. It's going to be uncomfortable, but sometimes growing those skills can be good for you. And sometimes it's best for you to just do your strengths and partner with other people in the world who will balance you out to achieve a goal, or to simply truly balance you out socially, emotionally, and that kind of thing. So if I look at what my natural strengths are, where I fall into, the things I have these skills in, I'll go and readily give my skills away and solve problems for people and organizations that appreciate the help, but I'm not the only person who can help them. So sometimes I give away my time, my minutes, my energy, thinking that I'm a useful engine, just like a little Thomas the Tank Engine, and, useful engine. And so I looked back at this thing I used to do when I was young. Is we had this hilariously complicated ballet carpool where we had between 8 and 10 families coordinating at any given time. And so it got so complicated where we were taking classes at least 6 days a week, and some of us would take 2 and 3 and 4 back-to-back classes, or we would have an all-day Saturday classes from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it was different rehearsals and different times, and some would be coming and going. So we had often parents driving students that were not their own children, because it was such a complicated process to even out the number of drives that a parent made in parallel to the number of classes their child was making. And yet it worked out for everybody, because none of the parents wanted to be driving to and from the ballet studio multiple times a day and every day of the week. So this way it kind of worked out. So I saw how this could all be. I saw it could be like mathematically correct as far as the right number of drives per parent based on the student's regularity of classes, and then evening it out, that kind of thing. So for quite a few years, I would make this ballet carpool schedule. And at that time, it was on a typewriter. Pretty crazy. So I remember I literally had to make the schedule in order to make it as a spreadsheet, I had to make a row of lines across the top, like underscore, underscore. I had to create the table. I had to create the lines and then type in the data. And then for the next row, I had to type like vertical slash, vertical slash, vertical slash, and that basically like literally typing every little pixel. So if you can imagine the amount of detail and time this thing took, A, to figure out mathematically to get it all arranged, but B, then to type it on a sheet of paper without making mistakes on a typewriter, that type of thing. in a table and making sure it was all aligned and centered within each cell and that kind of thing. It was crazy, but it was easy for me to fall into because I could see how it could be organized, see how it could be done. And once it was done, all of the families made photocopies of it. I distributed all these photocopies, and we all had a perfect year of driving and returning and knew who was picking up when, etc. And so I now know that my little INTJ Myers-Briggs profile loves that kind of stuff. I love bringing complex or disorganized chaos into organized information that can be used by many in a system. And yet, I have to be so careful with myself that I don't try to start building systems and organizing everything in the world around me. I'll do it in little bits for a girls' weekend and that kind of thing. But sometimes I'll kind of raise my hand or I'll say, well, we could just do this. And then I realize I'm actually organizing a whole community organization, herding cats that sometimes don't want to be herded and that kind of thing. And then I'll realize that I'm doing good things, but in the 365 days that pass, or in the 1 week that passes, I have to get very, very ruthless and strong to say always my minutes must be filling my big rocks into the bucket first, and that these other things can be wonderful helping behaviors, maybe suggestions, and actually I'm doing things where I'm giving some people some templates instead of doing the work. I'm saying I've done that similar type of thing before. Here's a template. Here's a past example. And it's kind of funny because in my corporate communications work, people sometimes just old business contacts will ask for some of these things I built that I've developed detailed templates for over decades. And so I've just said, you know what I'm going to do is I will just publish it on a website that I'm building so I can just kind of give these things out. And then if they're my past business contacts, I'll just give them the free coupon code and just say you can have it for free, but it's here, downloadable, DIY, do it yourself. So as you try to achieve a big goal in your life, as you try to achieve big change, you've got to look very ruthlessly and critically at all of these, how everything in the world will gladly use your minutes and your resources and your time and your knowledge. And we all feel like altruism and helping and delivering is good. It is not always good because you know what? You might be robbing the world and history of the one thing that you could deliver that is truly bespoke, that is truly from your secret sauce, that only you could deliver, that is the stamp that you want to leave and that you would gladly die tomorrow if you could just leave that one stamp. So that is part of KindEdge, which is the first couple steps that we go through, is getting so clear on what you really want to leave here on earth before you die, that you understand that you must unchoose all these other things that you are good at, that you could do. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so this is true also of the way you design your days and the way you use the minutes in your days. It's about people. So you may have to do a vast unchoosing of people who need your time, want your time, use your time, seek your attention. Sometimes you might be very good at being cool with people who are not at your caliber, who want you to be the cool friend who lets them be kind of a jerk or be lazy or be a loser or be non-adulting. And you might be that cool friend. And then you realize that you're depended on by a lot of people who expect you to be cool, when in fact you'd rather be out rubbing shoulders with and sharpening pencils with people who are inspiring, people who are disciplined or goal oriented or want to deliver something better on earth. So all of these things you might be good at, you have to do this really big KindEdge 360-degree evaluation of, how is the world seeing me? How am I presenting myself? And am I being useful to the world because I accept people who aren't self-accountable, who just want a friend who accepts people who don't adult or whatever, like you may have slowly evolved that thing in life. And yes, it works in college where you're like, yeah, I don't care who got drunk last night. I'm cool. We're all cool by noon the next day. It's all cool no matter who did what. It's cool. And that's a good thing to have in friendship. But you might have friends or organizations or employers or other parts of your life that tap into you and rely on you and call upon you, assuming you're going to be that all accepting, all helping, all giving person. And you will grow when you grow your healthy ego, which says, I actually am so powerful and I'm so clear on my higher purpose and what I want to deliver here on earth that I need to kind of judge. I need to be a little bit more ruthless about what time and skills I deliver to whom. And that is an appropriate thing to do because you shouldn't be giving it away. That thing you have inside of you, you should be so excited about, and you should know it's special about you. It's in your head and you're bringing it out. You're investing time. And you do have pride and confidence that you can judge. And you can say, heck no to anything that isn't going to help you deliver your secret sauce. So that's kind of my message for today, because sometimes we forget that there's a contradiction that doing good is not always the best good that you can do. So I hope you'll join me at KindEdge.com. This is an important journey. If you have something inside of you that doesn't look like anybody else and you know you've got to get it out here on earth, it's your legacy, it's your higher purpose, and you need to do it before you die. So join me at KindEdge.com. It's going to be a fun journey and it's not going to be easy, but I hope you'll join me. Thanks. Peace.